Hello everyone, welcome back to the Zach GP channel. And well, I've said I was going to start doing these pre-race F1 fantasy talks. I'll be talking about just F1 in general as well. And now I've been talking to Mike on Twitter. He's probably going to be coming into the chat soon. I'll get a chat up in a second. But so we were talking about apparently I instantly saw this and thought, crap, that's going to be surely that's dreadful for F1. But Mike has come in and he's given a bit more of an explanation. And he's just added me at the minute. So a bit more okay with the situation for now. But my God, was that worrying to wake up to? Just, oh yeah, F2, they tried it. Cancelled, weather was too bad. Oh. So right, let me get up the chat and we'll talk about some teams. No, that's the wrong. I need to get it on my other side of the screen. But actually, I'll get up F1 Fantasy Tools because we need to talk about some of the teams and some of the live scoring. So my F1 Fantasy team should be linked up there. Let me bring this, that's the cat, over to here. Cool, so I can see what's going on. So, initially, McLaren and Williams have the upper hand after qualifying. But, like I keep mentioning to a lot of people, it's such early starts where, the race, anything can happen. There's going to be so many DNFs and all that bollocks. So, we'll see exactly what happens. Hey, Tommy. Hey, Michael. I messed up my lineup, but hopefully I can bounce back in the next few races. Oh yeah, you told me, yeah. Sadly for Tommy, Behrman, that was the issue. I almost wish I had gone Alpine like Leapers, but let's see. So, see, Michael, that's the thing. So, I would like your opinion on this because I was going to get people's opinions on it as well. So, does that mean that you're not too excited for the McLaren and Williams in the race? Like, do you think they'll drop down then? Because if you wanted Alpine, I'm assuming that's because you think Williams will end up eventually where they are. Because at least that's what I'm getting from that. But I honestly can't complain too much about my team. Ferraris, I'd be very surprised if. So we got Tsunoda in fifth. Tsunoda, I think Sainz will go up and Albon will go down. Yeah, so I think the consensus was, if we go back to Twitter, by the way, I've been loving doing these polls, and I'm so happy I quickly remembered to start doing them before the race, because I almost forgot. But if we go over to my polls, one of my first polls, where is it, is where will the Williams finish? Like the top Williams, and most people agree 6th to 8th, which would sort of come back to what you were saying with Sainz going up and Albon coming down, because I could easily see Albon dropping to an 8th or Sainz up to a 9th, or maybe Sainz up to 8th, Albon down to a 7th, that sort of thing. Oh, Tommy, you're too kind, mate. You are too kind. Looks like risk it for a chocolate biscuit year. Yeah, no problem, Tommy. Honestly, after the first race, yeah, it might have to be that if this Ferrari is what it's gonna be like for the whole season, then you're gonna see a lot of people jumping on that McLaren Williams or McLaren Alpine build, because that does look proper tasty. The only issue with that is it has to have McLaren getting a 1-2 every single race, which for me would be fine, but it's a little worrying considering, will they be this quick for the rest of the field in other places? You'd have to basically think that that's correct at the minute, but we'll see what happens. Now, I can't obviously get up Now TV on the on the live stream, but I'm pretty sure it's still going to be raining. What are our chances? Okay, let me put a poll up so I can get people's feelings. because I'm still on the it won't be. Oh, actually, I did want to talk about this as well. So, what did everyone think of the Fan Amp live stream yesterday? Because obviously it was my first proper live stream with them. I've done some special guest appearances, but I actually had a really fun time, and it was very fun to do. And I hope you guys can see where we've collaborated, where I've brought some ideas from, well, technically the Zach F1 Zach GP channel now over to them, which I think a lot of people kind of wanted me to do in the Discord, because they wanted it to change around a little bit. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that, because it was really fun, and obviously I'll be there for at least this season. So we'll see how that goes. The almighty RB19 got pole here, only 2/10. The McLaren rocket ship doubled that without even trying at 100%. Yeah, it could be insane. If McLaren really are this fast for the rest of the season, like I mentioned, then it really would make the McLaren with any other builds look pretty decent. But I can't get ahead of myself too much, because if Ferrari, let's go into delusional land right now, where Ferrari were 100% on the wet setup. They went full into it. No one else went anywhere close to the wet setup. Ferrari get up to fifth and sixth, because realistically, if it didn't rain, Russell, I think, looked pretty decent, considering I believe the strategies when I last looked at them were medium hard or medium hard medium, and Russell looked very good on those hards. So if he could go medium hard in like a legitimate dry race, then that would be chill. But that's not going to happen. So we'll see what the cars are like on the wet track. But yeah, let's say Ferrari get up to 4th and 5th. That is best case scenario for the McLaren, the Mercedes Ferrari builds these days. And unless Williams drop down, then we're going to be scoring about equal points to each other without DNFs. But here's the thing, because that's what I want to talk about, and I talked about it a little bit yesterday. Also, thank you everyone for I'm glad you all liked it, because we're gonna try and basically just get it as good as possible. Oh, and did you like how many polls there were? Because I'm sure most people realized, if they were watching live, that there was someone doing quick polls and stuff, and basically every time we were talking about it, you'd see me look over to my other screen and just start typing, because I'm like, right, I've got to get a poll on this while it's going down. So we're gonna really try, because there's a team, you know what I mean? There's so many of us, there's 3 of us doing it. We can all do small different things while on the live stream, which is so much easier to do than when you're by yourself. But Michael says, good morning, Zach. Good morning to you as well. If the rain continues like it is doing, it's going to be chaotic. And well done for you. Thank you very much, Michael. Yeah. Well, if we come back, because that was the other thing Fan Amp and me were talking about, because last year they had, I'm pretty sure, a subscribers only mode and stuff, and what's it called? They wanted to boost their engagement, so they really wanted me to basically dive into the comments as much as I could on that live stream as well. You could see me just go, "Thanks, GP here." But let's go back to Twitter. Oh, so one of my polls has just finished, because talking about it being chaotic. So this is one of the polls. 66 people, right? Will there be a safety car after lap 1? Basically 75% of people think there's going to be a safety car. Incredible. I mean, I'm definitely on team safety car as well. Now, in hindsight, I probably should have put yes, no, and red flag, because I also think there's got to be a red flag this race. And that's what's worrying me a little bit with the timings of it all, because there is a possibility that I have woken up at 2 a.m, done a live stream at 2:30, Then the race gets postponed for like half an hour, and then there's a red flag after the first lap. So there's a chance like the race wouldn't even start till like 6 in the morning for me, or well, that's 2 hours after the race should start, which would be an absolute nightmare. Yeah, no, Michael, my thinking is so like, do you remember? So everyone remembers Brazil 2024, but Brazil 2024 weren't too bad because the timings weren't absolutely crazy. So yeah, it was a long race, but you know, for me, it was during the day, so I wasn't chilling. Actually, I was in America for Brazil 2024, so it was chill. But yeah, literally, that's what I'm saying. Do you remember the 2023 race restart for Australia? That's all I can imagine. That's all I can imagine. Constantly going round and round in my head. Like, that's going to happen. It's the exact same thing again. And, I can't, I can't stop thinking about it. But then, that's the other good thing, because obviously you've got a lot of drivers like Behrman. Now, I completely agree Behrman was the right shout to get rid of on your team for F1 Fantasy. But just imagine, yeah, if we have a crazy start and it turns out Behrman was the meta just by being 20th, not doing anything. But then get this, imagine he got all of these points from overtakes, position gain, whatnot. He survived most of the race, and then he did what he did in practice and stuff and just binned it himself. Oh god, I really do wonder how the price system will work if we get more than 60 DNFs, because that's what I should come back to as well on another poll. Is I probably should have done it on 0 to 1 DNFs, 0 to 1, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, or 5 and above. But let's see this one, 58 votes. How many DNFs will we see tomorrow? Most people think 2, 48%, but 43% think 3 and above. And I think I'm in the 3 and above category, because I think on my F1 predicts, I'll get that up as well. My F1 predicts, I put 16 drivers finishing the race. So I think there's going to be 4. But I think we're all on the same consensus that there's going to be a shit ton of DNFs, which could be incredible. Oh, and coming back to more F1 fantasy related stuff, I need to go on to Rob's Twitter, because this is where I saw the breakdown of it. Where is it? I thought I saw the breakdown on it. Well, anyway, there's been a point system change where now constructors are going to be getting a lot of a hit to their points. I didn't read it fully through, so I'm pretty sure it said like the -20 plus an extra -10. But we'll see how that goes, because what was it? It was only for disqualifications, I think, if I read it properly. So I shouldn't be too worried about it. I've gone 17 to finish. That's looking very unlikely at the moment with the weather. Yeah. So, I think most people agree the race won't be postponed. I would have to agree as well. It's just, dear God, please don't be postponed. I mean, hey, if it does get postponed, the excitement's going to be so crazy. I'm just going to be jittering to go. Actually, on the flip slide as well, can we appreciate the love that you guys have been giving the channel recently? 2,200 subs. It was only the start of this week. We just hit over 2,000. Also, by the way, if anyone's wondering how I'm getting up at all of these ridiculous times, considering I got up at 5 o'clock on Friday, actually, that's a good story I want to talk about. So, what's it called? Yeah, Michael, it's crazy how it's this crazy at the minute. I did just say crazy to describe crazy. But yeah, thank you all so much. But coming back to that, so I normally on Thursdays and Fridays, especially, it depends when I'm booked in for work. I have to get up at 5 o'clock. I have to get into work around 6:30 in the morning. And more live streams to come, Michael, because even though I can't do them before the deadline stream, I'm going to be doing a live stream like this every weekend, which is just a very chilled one, which I quite like because I don't have to be on like fully on it, but at the same time we can just have a chill chat about how everyone's thinking about their teams and stuff, which I'm going to really like. And also the post FP2 stuff. Yeah, that post FP2 video got me about like 150 subs or something crazy, and I was like, what? it was crazy. I'm watching the TV on the and they're on the track, and in Brundle's own words, it's simply a race to yeah, no. We're finished. We're actually finished. But right, anyway, back to what I was talking about. So I have to get up around 5 o'clock for work, get in for 6:30, and then it's a 12-hour shift, which is fine because at the minute I'm only working like 3 days a week, so 12 hours, 3 days, pretty boring. But then I'm cheeky with it. That's the thing. So you can see when it's coming. FP2 was on at 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock. So if you go and have a look at my post FP2 video, and I I didn't properly talk to Ewan about this over on pole position, but we did the exact same thing. You can see on both of our post FP2 videos, we're just recording at work. Like we both of us are just so obsessed with F1 Fantasy. Like, I was like, right, I've got to get it down no matter what happens. I've got to do this at work. So literally, I was recording, and you could see my eyes occasionally just like look to like where I'm supposed to be looking, because I've got to make sure that no one's just looking at me recording an F1 Fantasy video. But it was so much fun, and again, that was another really easy, nice and chilled video. But back to some of the polls we'll get into. I'm thinking as well for next weekend, so I'll do 4 polls on Friday, 4 polls after qualifying, and 4 polls before the pre-race. So I'll get like 12 polls before each race, because surprisingly they're really easy to think of. I mean, that one didn't take much thinking from me. But like this one, Mike was right. I should have been a bit more specific about what I was talking about points wise. But which constructor, bar McLaren, because I'm pretty sure unless they crash into each other on the first corner, they'll score the most points. Now, 65% think Ferrari, and I think that's a safe shout considering they are the most like consistent. Like, it's weird to say, but they are the more consistent team in the top 10 at the minute, where, everyone else, well, actually Williams there as well, everyone else doesn't have 2 drivers in the top 10. So Ferrari could easily finish 7th, 8th, 6th or 7th, 6th and 8th, whatever it is, and they would still get more points than Russell and Antonelli or Verstappen and Lawson if it finished the same way it was going to finish now. Well, depending on what the pit stop points say, because I'm really excited to see what can happen there. Hopefully Mercedes all of a sudden become brilliant with pit stops, but I'm not thinking too much into it. But 6% said Red Bull. Now for normal points, again, Ferrari, I still think so. But I'm surprised Red Bull was 6%, because if Verstappen does keep 3rd place and he gets 15 points, and Hamilton and Leclerc finish 7th and 8th, that would be, 10 points? So they would get less than Red Bull. And with Mercedes behind as well, Mercedes would get less. So I'm surprised that only 6% of people did say Red Bull, because I thought that would be higher up, just because if Verstappen's on the podium, that he'll probably still outscore both the other two. And the other one that interested me is 15% on other. So I know there's a few people thinking potentially Williams, Albon could get Tsunoda and actually stay up in, 5th place, and then Sainz could get closer to him. So we'll see what happens in the race with that. But back over to F1 Fantasy Tools. Is there any way I can see Team Analyzer? No. I need to link my team. That's what I need to do. Let's add a manual team. So let's try to see which team looks the best. So I'm pretty sure at the minute, if you had McLaren, Williams, Norris, Albon, Sainz, I don't think you could afford that. What could you afford with this team? Bortoletto, Hulkenberg, screw it, Ocon, and Doohan. Play it safe. That's a team I know for a fact a lot of people would have. And, right, great, it didn't add it. Brilliant. Oh, by the way, can we just appreciate the fact? So, now, I did say in my video, I wouldn't recommend going for it. So, hopefully no one did go for that team I recommended before FP3 with Haas as a constructor with Alpine. Because they're right now sitting on -6 points. Oh, God, I can't believe it. -6. Hang on, where's that 1 point come from? Neither driver to reach Q2. There we go. I was wondering where that could have been. Oh, actually, as well, let's go over to this poll, because I really enjoyed this one. I thought that was where is the Hulkenberg Bortoletto one? Oh, this one. Look how close it is. The starting grid's been confirmed. Anyone? So just in case you didn't know, obviously, that I believe, what was it? Was it pushed back or pushed forward when they could show the legit starting grid with any penalties and stuff? So yeah, I believe nothing has changed. Wow. Absolutely crazy. Is anyone worried about having Aston Martin in their team? Because I know a lot of people had Aston Martin, and 12th and 13th isn't the most secure place in F1 Fantasy for that. I would be a little bit worried that they will just sit there. Right, Michael said, what Piastri, Sainz, Hadjar, Doohan, Ocon, McLaren, Williams here. Yeah, so you've banged it at the minute. Hopefully Sainz can stay chilled. It's just, it is one of those things, and it's so crazy, because I try to bring in some crazy ideas of oh, your team's going to do better because of this, because of that, and all that bollocks. But realistically, my points now coming into the wet race have all just been, if your drivers don't crash, you'll be fine. You'll score the most points. And when I mean that, I mean Williams as well. It's literally that. It's going to be, okay, someone's got Ferrari and Mercedes in their team. Ferrari had a crash. They did worse. Someone had McLaren Williams in their team. Williams had a crash. They did worse. That's what it's going to come down to. And it's ridiculous how that's going to be the case. But that's sort of always how it's been in F1 Fantasy, with how destructive, you could say, the negative points are, especially on DNFs. But anyway, back to the Bortoletto point. Look how even Stevens it is. And that's with what? How many people did that poll? 78 votes. So for it to be 51 to 49%, I think it could be quite an interesting race between them. Now, I am actually on the Hulkenberg side, because we saw it with Behrman last season, where in Baku, I don't really think it's the one-lap pace where the rookies really struggle a lot. It's holding on in a race, especially a race like this. They're just going to drop back, I think. So be careful watching Bortoletto. I think he could still finish around 16th, 17th. We'll see what happens, but yeah. Right, let me get up Now TV on my other screen so I can, so I can see what the weather's looking like and I don't get like a whole copyright issue. Because that would not be ideal to get that on the channel. Right, let's go over to sports. And I have to mute it as well. Damn thing. I mean, I know why, but I wish I could just show it. Right now they're showing... What the hell are they showing at the minute? If anyone's watching the sky... Oh, it's rookie stuff. I see. I got onto it thinking I was going to see loads of rain, all that bollocks. And I go on and it's... it's Antonelli. What are they playing? Oh, they playing... I don't know why I did that action. The thing with the stick game. It's really hard to explain. Yes, bowls. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, they're playing bowls in like the sun, and I was like, right, I've missed something here. Oh god. Yeah. Oh look, FPL veteran, by the way, a big friend of the channel. He's thinking it's gonna clear up, which could be interesting because right. Let's get another poll going. Let's say if it did clear up, hypothetically, if it stopped raining, would the rain help Ferrari or would it make it worse? So how would I phrase that? How would I phrase the wording of that? Which is better for Ferrari? There's the bad boy. Rain. No rain. Because I think it's about even Stevens, to be fair. Yeah. I should have just put that back. Because I know a lot of people will say, oh, you know, they were overheating their tyres in the final sector. But they were pretty on it for sector 1 and 2. And if we get to the race and we know it's like 20 degrees or something, so it's a lot cooler, we could see a Mercedes effect. Yeah, I see, that's the thing. In my delusional head of having Ferrari in my F1 Fantasy thing, I'm all aboard thinking, yeah, they've 100% gone for the rain setup and all that stuff. But how much do we believe that it was only Ferrari? And that's the issue I have. Do we think it's only Ferrari that have gone for a rain setup? Because McLaren also... Now, I don't think McLaren did. But looking at the top speeds, there's quite a few other teams that could have gone for a wet setup. McLaren could have been one of them. I don't think it is them. I just think they've just got a crap ton of downforce on their car. Just like last season. And what's it called? Who knows? Maybe a Sonoda or Albon's gone for a wet setup as well. We really don't know, and that's what's worrying me a little bit. Because, like I said, I'm so happy just going, oh, it's, you know, what's it called? A Ferrari race setup for the wet. I'm chilling. It really could be anyone else who has it. Yeah, and that's what worries me a little bit. Because that would almost, yeah. Look, Rain's talking about it. By the way, for anyone watching, Rain, he's actually at the race, I believe. So he's getting the full swing of things. So if he's saying the conditions are horrible, we know the conditions are horrible. Are we still seeing it? No, they're still playing bowls. Oh, whoops, that's the wrong screen. Well, you just saw my what's it called? My thumbnail. But on top of that, where do we go? Boom, boom, boom. So that's not what I wanted to get up. I wanted to get up Leaper's team. So obviously, you know, Leaper's won. Big friend of F1 Fantasy community. We love him. He came first last season. There you go. That's proof of it. This is his team. Now, at the minute, considering like how smart this geezer is, let's have a look at it. So obviously he's gone for the Alpine of playing it safe for getting over that points threshold, which he will. He'll get over 10 points. That's fine. McLaren again. McLaren will cover it for him if Ferrari are still stinking up the gaff. Piastri, fine driver of the day, all of that stuff. This is where it gets interesting. He went full blown triple Alpine. So I don't know what he saw in doing that I didn't see. He might have explained it a bit more somewhere else. But he was in the fan app chat as well. I think he would have explained it a little bit there as well. And the double Aston Martin worries me a little bit. But it's what makes this a really fun team to like deep dive into sort of thing is it's so different to the rest of the teams that are being used. And that's what we love in F1 Fantasy. I do love it when it's nice and easy to know the meta. We know all the pricing, everything. Like then you can sort of strategize a lot more. But it is fun how this race has ended up being McLaren Alpine builds, McLaren Williams builds, Ferrari Mercedes builds. My God, some people still went Red Bull Mercedes. I'm praying for them right now with how it's gone. And then actually, let's get another poll up. So yeah, 80% for rain. I think I'd have to agree on that. What was it gonna be? Stroll versus Ocon. Who will get more points? Because that's the issue I had. Because I could have actually in my team gone up to a Stroll, but I didn't think it was worth it. I really didn't. I get that Stroll's not crazy bad at Australia, but it still is Stroll. It still is Stroll, and I can't wrap my head around him not being one of the biggest forces of chaos. Again, I go back to that Hungarian race in 2021, which I did a video on about 2-ish weeks ago, and it was Stroll who did a lot of the chaos there, and I could easily see it just being the exact same thing where he just goes into the first corner, just goes straight in, locking up, crashing into every single other driver. No matter what happens, it's gonna be nightmares. Right, Mike says I took the chance on the garbage garbage can Haas with Ocon because he's great in the rain. Yeah. Oh my God, imagine the scenes if he did a Brazil 2024 and everyone who's got Ocon got, what would that be in points? So positions gained, 19 to third, so 15 positions gained. Now let's be generous and say 5 of those were overtakes, because let's get real, if that was happening, it would be because he got a lucky safety car or everyone crashed out. So 15, 5 points. He'd then get driver of the day. However, it is Ocon, so maybe he still wouldn't get driver of the day. But let's say he does. That's 30 points. Imagine we walked out of here and Ocon had 30 points to his name. Potentially even more. With it would be more, because then I'm not even adding in the race points, so then you'd get an extra 25 points. Imagine Ocon on 55 points. Oh God. Yeah, what's the race time starts for everyone else as well? Mike, especially for the American viewers. So what? You on the east side. What are you guys? 4 hours behind. So what? The race would start at 12 o'clock, if I'm correct. Actually, that's crazy. 11 p.m. Right? Yeah. So yeah, 4 hours behind. My bloody God! I hope it's not postponed for you as well. We're all in pooper if it gets postponed. 5 a.m. Oh, 80 hours. Okay, so you're 2 hours ahead. So what time zones would that be? Around Greece? The Greece area? Like that latitude? Right. Let's move on to something else for another 20 minutes. Because basically what my plan is I'll give you a rundown of the Zach GP plan for this race. I do this till about 3:30ish. Oh, perfect. Yeah. The jam sandwich. You are a jammy man. Anyone living in Australia just must have so much, like, they must be loving it. And hey, you'll get the first laugh, but we'll get the last laugh. All right. Come after Japan. Yeah, we'll see who's laughing. But no. Seriously, it's got to be a lifesaver for any Aussie fans, because I do get it. You guys don't get the best timings all season, and then you get every one of us complaining about having to deal with it for the first 3 races. You guys have got to deal with it all season long. Right. Let's look into the top 10 for a second. So, what is everyone thinking with the top 10? Who is going to move up? Who's going to move down? So the consensus Mike's been talking about is that Albon potentially could move down. Now, if people are thinking Albon would move down, I'm assuming it's for both Ferraris. But if Albon went down, I wouldn't be surprised if Tsunoda went down. The real question is, let's say, big hypothetical here, we get into the race, both Ferraris survive the first lap, there's still Tsunoda and Albon ahead of them, but we get into the race pace, we get into the race, situation, all that bollocks, and Ferrari actually look pretty quick. They overtake both Albon and Tsunoda. Would they have the pace to get past Russell? Now, this is because in my head I'm thinking, all right, even if Ferrari were rapid, in the wet, it's a whole different thing. Overtaking Albon and Tsunoda, it's then Russell. In the Mercedes, the race pace should be a lot higher over on the Mercedes. So, would he be able to? So, let's say Ferrari's hypothetically have pace in rain. Do they rain. Do they get past Russell? Yes and no, easy peasy. Yeah, so Mike's coming straight in, saying Russell will stay ahead. Because, yeah, that's the thing. Russell, as we all know, his race pace isn't crazy. And there's that beautiful quote. I can't remember who actually made the quote, but stick Russell in first and Hamilton in 20th. And by the end of the race, they'll finish together. Get your head out of the gutter as well. Not like that. So I think the idea as well, people haven't given up on Hamilton, because we know he's very good he's good in the wet and he's good in the race. So ATL believes Leclerc will go up, Russell, Tsunoda, Albon. Oh, so you do think that, okay. Well, actually, yeah, I can look at the poll and then 50-50 think Ferrari could overtake Russell. Now, that is big, because that's not only believing that Ferrari... because I think, let's get real, anyone who's voted for Ferrari getting past Russell could explain it to me as well. In my head, I'm thinking, so if you think Ferraris can get past Russell, what's stopping them getting past Verstappen as well? Now, I know, complete different kettle of fish, but would it then be too crazy to say, okay, well, if they've gone from 7th and 8th to 4th and 5th, surely that means potentially they're getting closer to Verstappen? Or is it like no, Russell would be there, and then it would be Verstappen in his own world, sort of in no man's land between Russell and the McLarens? I think that would be more of the case, but I'd love to get your opinions on it all. Grant, I got burnt out on every single Albon DNF last season. Tell me about it. I was in a similar position. Not taking Williams for a few races at least. Sainz also crashed at Brazil last year. Yeah, no. That's... yeah, right. So the only issue I have with taking the wet crashes is you can go through most drivers and find an instance where they crashed in the rain, which is the only issue. Because I also agree, that's why I didn't fully go on the Williams train, because Albon killed me last season. But I just think it really is. You can look into data or anything about it, and it could say, oh, this person's more likely to crash out in the rain. But I really do think it literally is just as straightforward as you're taking a 50-50. We have no idea who's going to crash out. It's just going to come down to who's having a good day and who's having a bad day. I really do think Lawson's going to crash out just because he's got too much work to do. Now, on the other side of things, I don't think Antonelli will crash out, and I want to get a poll on this. Purely because Antonelli had pace in the car. That's why I'm not worried about Mercedes constructor-wise. It's Ferrari that I'm worried about not being close enough to McLaren on points. Because Antonelli, if he didn't damage his car, looked as if he was completely fine. So, will Antonelli get into the top? No, I'm just going to put where will Antonelli finish. Yeah. It's one of those things, isn't it, Grant? Whereas it's a risk. Everyone's at risk, and it's just 50-50 if you didn't pick them or you did. And that is why people didn't want DNFs to be so damaging in F1 Fantasy. But sometimes you just need to get a bit lucky in the race, and it will come down to who's more lucky. Where will Antonelli finish? Top 10. 11th to, let's say, 13th. 14th to 16th. And then 17th or below. I don't think it'll be 17th or below, but let's put it there. Do you think Lawson could do a comeback drive? Like, be inside? No, see, I think Antonelli will be able to do it, because Antonelli actually showed he had pace in that Mercedes until he did damage the car. Antonelli looks fine. Lawson never at one point looked fine, which is what worries me. I don't think he has the pace to do it. And the reason I think he's going to crash out is because he's going to get hot-headed. He's going to do he's going to sing his little song of every fucking driver, get out of the way, I'm Liam Lawson, in his head, go for a dive bomb, and crash out potentially. And that could even happen on the first lap. But that's why my thinking for Lawson and Antonelli's a little bit different. And ATL says, all hope on strategy advantage. 2 cars, they can pass even Max. Yeah, okay, so ATL's very much on board with that. Okay, yeah, I thought so. I thought if you thought they could get past Russell, then what's stopping them getting past Verstappen? Yeah, that makes sense. But 7, right, so yeah, so 11th to 13th, 43%. I would have to agree that he would at least get up to 11th to 13th. Then it's even Stevens on top 10 or 14th to 16th. Interesting. Hadjar equals Bortoletto. Bortoletto better than Antonelli. Oh, I see. So is that your, for what we've seen? Oh, this is just the rankings of them so far. Hadjar and Bortoletto. Oh, thank you very much, Mike, for that. Right. Let's get that up. Is that going to be on F1 or on Red Bull? Let's try Red Bull first. Oracle Racing Red Bull. I mean, that doesn't surprise me. It pisses me off a little bit because Ocon's probably going to get overtaken. Come on, F1. Show me the goods. Show me the bloody goods. I'm sure we'll get more on that whenever it comes out. Oh, by the way, I wasn't just looking up Yuki Tsunoda pictures, okay? I was using him for my thumbnail. It was not... Oh, God. Medlin. All right, yeah. Let's get on that. Where is Chris Medlin? Oh, and Behrman. So I saw Behrman was starting from potentially the pit lane, but Lawson. Okay, I mean that makes sense. That's annoying then, because I just saw the starting grid. So they'll maybe I just didn't see it, or maybe they'll change it. Who knows? Where was I anyway? Right, yeah, no. Back to the rookies. I have been a big Bortoletto fan for like on the bandwagon, and I really didn't see why people weren't more interested in him. Helmut Marko's a donut, but he's always been a donut. Calling him a B tier driver or something. Well, technically, he wouldn't be wrong because he is a B tier asset in F1 Fantasy, but I don't think he was talking about F1 Fantasy. What's it called? And Bortoletto's shown him up. So obviously, yes, he was in the McLaren driver stuff. So yes, there was a little bit of bias there. But what was it? I knew Bortoletto had Alonso backing, and I think I mentioned it in the rookies video where I was like, if Alonso's backing you, you gotta be good. I think people forget sometimes how just amazing. Well, no, they don't forget, but the Alonso effect is real. And even just knowing who's a good driver and not, crazy. Where was I anyway? So yeah, Bortoletto I'm very big on, and I think he was being under the radar for the start of the season. Same with Hadjar. It's a little bit difficult because that Racing Bulls did just look really good on one lap pace, and I do think he's done well, and he's done better than people were expecting of him. But let's see what happens, because, you know, if Tsunoda... let's see what happens. I'm still very much equal ground on Hadjar. However, Antonelli, we still haven't seen crazy things from him, but I'm sure he'll be fine. Putting Behrman and Lawson at the end, that's the thing. How far has Behrman dropped on everyone's rankings? Because I remember quite a few people weren't happy with me putting Haas as the 10th worst driver pairing. And that's just because I thought they didn't have a strong first driver. Yeah, Doohan as well. Doohan was in that list, but Doohan surprised a lot of people doing well. Really happy for Doohan because... how many times am I going to say Doohan? Because, yes, I would love for Colapinto to have a seat, but I thought the way everyone was trying to basically already force him out of that car, I wasn't on board with. But yeah, Doohan's really impressed me. Yeah, Lawson, come summer, if he's still doing this, they'll replace him with Tsunoda. But then the thing is, then Tsunoda will get replaced by Hadjar come 2026, and the cycle repeats. It's never going to end. Maybe we were too mean to Sergio Perez. Maybe getting 14th in that car was actually an achievement. Or maybe we're just underappreciating Max Verstappen, and he literally is just that much better than everyone else on the grid, and he's been putting a Williams-esque car onto the podiums every single weekend. Which one is it? But here we go. Look, so on the poll, 38% for top 10, 38% for 11th, 13th. So people do think he'll get up in the races, and I'd have to agree. For anyone coming in, we were just talking about how Lawson's starting from the pit lane. Thanks, Mike, for bringing that up. Yeah, but I don't think I went through. I sort of said it. So if Lawson lost his seat, it would be what you're saying. I think if it was in summer, yeah, Lindblad, he's looking pretty decent. But again, are we really going to be ruining another future prospect? It's a shame. I really don't know what the good situation is, because you've got probably Tsunoda, who would be the next in line for now. If Lawson got dropped, in summer, Tsunoda comes in. I don't see Tsunoda doing any better because that Red Bull is just undrivable. Then you put in Hadjar, in that seat again. He's so underprepared. It's just going to be Liam Lawson again. I know it's only been one qualifying session, but he just didn't show any pace this weekend, all weekend. Then you've got Lindblad. Now, I know any seat in F1 is better than no seat, so it'd still be good being in the Red Bull family, but my God, you've sort of just, if you're in that situation of coming through the rankings, just steer clear of Red Bull. They're not even the fastest car anymore, so they're not like the hot prospect. Like it was always, Red Bull's second seat from 2021 and onwards. You could say it was, yes, it's terrible situation being the second driver at Red Bull, but it's the second best seat on the grid. It's still better than anything else. But now it's not even the fastest car. So I would say we're going to be seeing a lot of people jumping ship from the Red Bull, not the Red Bull Academy necessarily, but potentially doing what we saw with Piastri, he did to Alpine, where they're just a little bit more cutthroat, because Red Bull are very cutthroat. Let's see what happens when the drivers start saying, no, you're not good enough. For me, I'm going somewhere else, which could happen very soon if they continue with these performances. Lawson can even keep it on track. Yeah, I know. And again, because I always thought Tsunoda should have got that seat, so I was very much on a Tsunoda deserved it, but I never thought Lawson was bad. I always thought Lawson was still good. And it just shows. It ruins the driver. I don't know what they're doing with that car. But it comes back to what Albon said, isn't it? Where he was like, it's like playing an FPS game on 20 sensitivity. Like, back in the day, if you were trying to get like a 360 no scope in Black Ops or whatever, you would set all of your sensitivities to the highest and all that. That's how they were trying to explain what driving a Red Bull car is. And that's undrivable. No one's like Max Verstappen. And that is the issue. But also what makes it so brilliant for him. There is no right answer to this Red Bull situation. The only right answer would be to make it less... Well, not the right answer, but the only way it'd be more comparable is to make it less drivable for Verstappen. But if they made it less drivable for Verstappen, he'd just go elsewhere, and you might just destroy the car even more. Who knows what's going to happen. But right, so the consensus with Antonelli's finishing position is 11th to 13th. Completely makes sense. I get why they'd say that. I should have been charging my phone this entire time. Oh, well, that's fine. I get that. Top 10, the next one. I think it very much does come down to 14th to 16th, not 14th to 16th, 11th to 13th for top 10. I'm still in the 35% over at the top 10, but we'll see what happens. Fernando. And then I guess we'll do one more poll before I finish the stream off. And then, actually, I need to check the weather because I got a bit tracked. What? They're still playing bowls? Oh, no, hang on. Am I just not live? Yeah, I'm not live. Give me a second. Yeah, Jesus Christ, that is wet. However, call me crazy, it doesn't look like it's raining anymore. Can anyone give me a rundown on if it's still raining? Because I can't see the pitter-patter of rain on, like, the puddles forming on the track. Am I going crazy with that? You get what I mean? Oh, who is that? Is Behrman already round? It's not even the formation lap and one of the number 31. Who's number 31? Is that Ocon or Behrman? One of them's just gone round. And if it's Behrman, dear God, he's not even... what is going on with Haas? They should have not... No, it's too early to say they shouldn't have not. But wow, is that a wet track? But... it's a wet track that doesn't look like it's raining too heavy, which is very exciting. I'll give you it in a second. I'm just giving the rundown of it's because I've not got the sound on, and I'm not too on it with Ocon's driver number. I can't say I look for him on every single race to know if he's 31. My pre-race thoughts. It will be a McLaren 1-2 because let's get real. If we've seen with the McLaren pace that Brazil 2024 was a little bit different. I get rain brings cars closer, But if the McLaren's that fast, even in the wet, Verstappen can't catch up. But in my head, it's the top three is not going to stay. Is going to finish the same. The top three will be Norris, Piastri, Verstappen. That's I'm pretty set on. It's fourth down to about eighth. I don't really know what's going to happen. In my delusional head, I think it could be Hamilton fourth, Leclerc fifth, Russell sixth, or Hamilton fourth, Russell fifth, Leclerc sixth. And now there is a reason I'm putting Russell further down, and it's because Hamilton, we know what his race pace is like, and I really do think if he has a good start, he'll be completely fine. But then where does that leave Tsunoda and Albon? Because I don't even know if they'll get down. But let's just say they will. Is everyone on full wets? I know. Let's have a look, shall we? What's the Ferrari on? Ferrari's on full wets as well. But yeah, Mike, do you see what I'm talking about, though? It doesn't look... It's probably just a telly, and I can't get a full look on it. But it doesn't look like it's raining. So we're going to be seeing everyone start on the wets, within 5 laps, potentially be going on to the inters, or people holding on the wets, going on to the dries. But then, is there more rain to come? Most likely. And, no, that looks bad in Sector 3. Sector 3 is definitely raining. No, is it? Oh, this is impossible. It's impossible to figure out. We'll see what happens. But, right, yeah, final thoughts of the race is, for F1 Fantasy, is still anyone's game. This race is going to be absolutely insane. I fully agree that there's going to be a safety car at the end of lap 1. I swear to God, they better not bloody put a safety car start on, because, that'll do my head in. I think a safety car start is worse than postponing it. I'd rather them postpone it than ruin the start of the race. Because, oh my God, Norris is on the inters. Are McLaren really going to screw this up before the race has even started? Aye. Imagine McLaren don't even finish. Don't even finish in the top 3. Why are McLaren the only ones on the inters? What's going on? Anyway, I'll have to finish it there because I'm going over to my cousin's to watch it at 3:30 in the morning. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed that because this was so much more chilled. Just vibes, you know what I mean? But anyway, let me get OBS up so I can finish the stream when I say I'm going to finish it. In Norris to do a full start again and get a 10-second penalty. Bro, I wouldn't even be surprised. I'm not, honestly, if Norris is P4, P5 by the end of lap 1, I wouldn't be surprised either. But yeah, Mike, see you later. Everyone, see you all later. Enjoy the race. Hopefully it is a brilliant one. ZZ, no problem, man. Take care, everyone. Enjoy the race. If F1 Fantasy does come to bite us in the arse, try not to get too annoyed. It's the first race. Anything can happen for the rest of the season. But anyway, everyone, take care. Love you all, and I'll see you all later.